Yo, what's up, everybody?
What is up?
Get my camera fixed
Good
here.
morning,
Welcome
Jonah.
to the show. Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. We have our very special guest, Jonah, here from the Authentic and Danny Pessy organization, a man of many talents, many years in solar and other selling, and just in general being awesome. So, welcome. Thanks for taking the time. Really don't have a formal agenda. I just wanted to give people a taste of working, what it's like to be working with you and tapping into your knowledge, your skills and everything and up leveling what we can do together. I sent out a little teaser with like some rough things that we could talk about. And it's stuff that you mentioned, like recruiting. What are some secrets there? How do you master that? Lead gen, closing, general culture, organization culture, that leadership, that kind of thing. And then I definitely want to make sure we have a little bit of sprinkle of the alternatives to solar, specifically roofing, because I know that's your wheelhouse, like we talked about. So if we want to
Yeah.
drop a few little nuggets of wisdom there. But yeah, again, if you're just joining us, drop into the Q&A, anything you want to do. I'm Danny O'Malley, Director of Marketing for ESP. I got Brandon Barton, Dealer Support, Director of Dealer Support, and the man of the hour, Mr. Jonah Cafferty. So let's just get into it, man. Remind me,
Absolutely.
how long have you been doing what you do?
So in the solar space, well, door-to-door sales in general, that home service selling since out of high school. So back in 2012. And then the home service, like consulting started in 2016, 2017. But I got into solar at the end or at the beginning of 2015. And we built up a
Nice.
consulting service and door-to-door sales stuff. And then specifically got more into running events for solar, starting SolarCon in 2021. And from like, especially virtual, when virtual sales with COVID started going, I really tapped into a lot of the roofing space to help roofing companies add solar and solar companies add roofing or know how to take advantage of that. And that's been a big focus for the last little while. And I consult companies all over the country doing that stuff.
You're based in Utah, like me, right?
Yeah, yep. Based in Utah,
My,
but yeah,
my,
travel around a bunch.
all right. But I was gonna say, you go where the action is. You go all over, right?
Totally. Yep. Even this last week was
Awesome.
Oklahoma City, which is not a very typical. I mean, I was there for mainly roofing, but I was playing around with some solar stuff, and that was my first time looking at solar out there. So it was an interesting experience.
Interesting, interesting. What's net metering like in Oklahoma City? I know there's a
We're
great
pulling.
brewery out there, but I don't know how the
Yeah, no, net metering is from what I saw, it's one for one. It's mainly just cheap power, and there's no real state stuff going on right now. So but we're getting the details to it. I just barely sold this company on starting a branch on it. I was helping them on their roofing side and just told them, hey, through the winter when roofing slows down, Oklahoma doesn't have too many snow days, and so you can still be finding some
yeah,
install dates for solar and to keep their sales reps year round to be able to push that. So yeah, we're
nice.
doing some training there. Yeah.
Very cool. And if everybody's reading between the lines here, think of how good you have it in California, even though a one-to-one net metering sounds nice, right? That's the way it used to be, but I don't know what the price per kilowatt hour is in Oklahoma, but I can imagine it's
Yeah, I think it's
mm,
like between I think in some parts it could be even as low as like 9 or 10 cents, but I think it's somewhere
I was
around
gonna say
like 12.
single digits. Yeah, that
Oh yeah.
that that harkens back to when I started in Idaho. It was like eight and a quarter was
Yep.
the kilowatt, and so like that's a hard sell. And in
Yeah. And that's where
California,
I cut my teeth was that as well. In Utah,
they
you know, it was still like 10 or 11 cents or
yeah,
whatever, but
11, yeah,
we
somewhere in
weren't
that
selling
range.
savings. We were selling investment, which was a
Exactly.
powerful lesson. Yeah.
Exactly. So awesome. Great to always get the background. And let's see, where should we start? We are talking about roofing. We could just work from there. I'd love to drop that in just as a reminder. Everybody who is an ESP dealer, you do have access to sell roof only jobs. We do have a roofing department specifically that helps you with, obviously, if you need to do a re-roof with a solar contract, we'll loop all that in. It's great. But you can take advantage and do a roof only job. There is commission built into it. You can mark it up to a point and basically, yeah, ideally you're using a lot of the same skill set, right? You're not, and if anything, you're not talking about like kilowatt hours and calculations and saving and everything. It's just a need, right? So, Jonah, as the master, go into it. What are your top tidbits that you'd like to share with people?
Well, when it comes to like the roofing side, first of all, is like obviously partnerships and agreements, understanding that kind of stuff. And I know obviously with the heavy focus with California, it's a little different than some of the roofing markets that are door to door focused because I typically work with roofing companies that are on the insurance restoration side,
Sure.
to where they leverage storms or catastrophic events or whatever that essentially get the policy, the clause of Mother Nature or acts of God to essentially replace your roof through the insurance company. And so there's a pretty unique market for that. And I'm sure there's parts of California where maybe there's some storms where that kind of stuff happens. And it's a great opportunity for companies that can take advantage of that. But in reality, it's such a great crossover. It's a very similar sale, actually, a lot of the parts of roofing because you're working against the insurance company, but also with them, which is really similar to solar with the utility, or sorry, yeah, insurance company and utility company for the different industries are similar to where you work with them, but also you're working against, or there's dynamics that are interesting there where
Some
you need
tension.
them, but you also don't really like them. And so
Whenever you're trying to build that, like, hey, here's your hero narrative, there's got to be a villain somewhere. You got to have that tension, that conflict. So yeah, that
totally. And so that's what I find where it's really great to have crossover, or even when it comes to recruiting, like you can recruit some roofing reps because they're already talking to people that way, those door knockers, but at the same time, taking people that have roofing sales experience and knowing that it crosses over to solar really well, as long as they know financing or they can speak long-term investment. And so it's a really good skill set to go recruit through. It's a great place to find leaders and to understand, hey, how can you partner with some of these companies to be able to share each other leads, add value, or even have someone from a roofing company come in to talk to you about what they look for in certain types of roofs and what they think of solar. Because a lot of the times, some homeowners will ask contractors or different people about how solar affects your roof and whatnot. And so sometimes it can be good to get a roofer's perspective on what they see solar installations like and what they think about it.
yeah, that's very true. I know that we've got our guy Jeremiah. We have several pieces of content on the YouTube channel and now in the ESP University in there where he talks about, yeah, just like it really does protect the part of the roof that it's covering. So if anything, you're going to get more life out of the shingles
Mm-hmm.
or whatever the roof material is underneath the hot
Yeah,
spot, which is that's gonna wear out the fastest because sun is the roof's worst enemy. Not you'd think, oh,
yep,
it's definitely hail. Well, yeah,
yeah,
hailstorms are nasty, but it's not hailing every single day, right? It's
totally.
sunny every single day, and
Yep.
that's what's gonna deteriorate fastest. So yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. No, yeah, it is important to understand how that stuff works. Is it's critical to be able to speak to that and to just have a knowledge about it because homeowners were putting holes in the roof essentially and being able to understand how the shingles are affected and understanding how we can extend those warranties. I love those pictures of I think it's in Florida typically where it has like the hurricane and the roof's completely gone and wherever the solar is, there's still panels and a roof underneath
absolutely.
it.
Yep.
Those are always the greatest. Yeah, those are the greatest proofs of concepts to those people that are just like, well, the weather they can't handle. And you just pull up a
No,
picture like that and you're
yeah.
like, let me show you some things.
We
Yes,
lock
it's
them down
great.
pretty tight. We don't want those panels going anywhere. I don't, the homeowner
Exactly.
doesn't, but we definitely don't either. So yeah.
Yeah, they're put right into the trusses. They're bolted in there.
Yep.
So
Yep.
a lot of people don't know how that works, but
And then sealed up. Yeah, I think that's another one that we've done a little bit. But yeah, just talking to the penetrations, I think that's probably one of the other big objections, right? So like if
mhm,
that's one of the what are maybe the top like objections that you're going to get to somebody who needs to pair roof with solar or just if they're looking for roofing quotes, what's maybe
mhm.
like top two or three objections that you're going to run into that you think?
Well, yeah, it'll be like, hey, I don't want it to, put holes in my roof or ruin my warranty, which is an aspect where, if you guys have some in-house roofing stuff or if people are able to connect with a roofing company and be able to say, hey, look, we're fine to warranty those panel installations on top of a brand new roof, as long as we just know the process of how they're getting waterproofed and sealed. And so obviously when it's the same company doing it, they can extend that. But yeah, and then I also like wanted to share because I think there's a part of it where it comes down to like how to train teams and how to train your sales reps on this kind of stuff and running effective trainings for all this kind of stuff. I know I can speak to that as well. It looks like we have a question in there. What are roof penetration warranties with different providers? That's a good question. I actually am not sure. Are you meaning different providers as in the finance companies or providers is in the roof? I don't know if there's a difference there, if you guys know what they're referring to.
I think we should just tackle both, right? I think with your lenders, 9 times out of 10, you're going to see a 10-year roof leak penetration warranty. And then that does match ESP as well.
Yeah, for
Nice.
sure. Materials will generally be longer than that, I think. Like we've got Owens Corning and some of the like we're what are we, a preferred partner with them? I
We
can't
are
remember if we're a platinum yet. We're shooting for platinum with them, but yeah,
very
we do.
close.
Nice.
We're very close. Yeah, we do dozens of roofs every month, I'm pretty sure still is what we're clocking.
Yeah.
So yeah, like that those longer term warranties with Owens Corning. We usually will provide that warranty documentation. You can find that in the QuickBase portal. But yeah, and so Joan, I think where you're going with it is just like what's the best way to structure the training and yeah, maybe some recruiting and retention and all that kind of stuff so that you touched on it earlier. You
Mhm.
have a team of good reps. You don't want to lose them when it's seasonality kicks in. You can still have people need roofs all year round. Like
Totally.
you're gonna see we're coming into atmospheric river season in California, I think, sooner than we see it coming. But yeah, so
Mhm.
we can switch gears over into that kind of broader topic. That's your jam, man.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of training and educating people and making sure we're giving our reps the right information and holding them accountable to it. Like I've built out an LMS platform, learning management software. So obviously what Authentic University is built on. So that software I specialize in, and then specializing in figuring out what makes people stay active on trainings, how can it be delivered the best, and then how to retrain or retest on items that are important, so that way people remember it and apply it in the field. And a lot of it's based off of data. And if I can say something on that, I think that's probably one of the biggest aspects when I go and consult companies is that they don't take advantage of the data that they're creating, whether it's through door knocking apps or just through their own CRM to figure out where their ratios and different numbers lie. I talk about how much Google and Apple and Microsoft, they all want your data, and we're all trying to protect our data and do this stuff. But then at the same time, when it comes to figuring out our business, we throw our own data away. And so there's a lot to learn there. And I've been hyper focused on what can we learn from companies' data? What trends does it show? And then how can we leverage that data to hack our training abilities and sales numbers? So I think there's a lot that goes into that. And I'd love to be able to see it on the roofing side and solar side and see how coming from just door to door sales in general with alarms and all these other products that I consulted for, to see that's the commonality is if you can get your numbers down, you have consistency behind understanding your data and tracking it properly, you can really do a lot of damage in making some pivots and hitting new markets and whatnot. So it's
Absolutely.
a really powerful tool.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah, when you start leveraging everybody thinks like, oh man, like, do I gotta learn Excel? I don't want to do spreadsheets. I hate numbers. Oh, math, that's
Yeah.
hard. That sucks. Like, I'm more of that people person type thing or whatever. But if
Yeah.
it can be addicting, to be totally honest. Like, I thought I was all, yeah, that like whatever, whichever one it is, left brain, right brain, I can't remember. The
Yeah.
not numbers guy. But then I
Yeah.
got put on a project at a, company years ago and I was like, oh, this is cool. If I start sorting this and I start like, oh, hey, like what if I look for that? Oh, hey, like we could actually,
Yeah.
yeah, like you said, you can do some damage. It's fun to start to see like, hey, what information do you have right at your fingertips that you can
Hmm.
just take a quick look at if you organize it the right way and say, oh, why aren't we doing that? Let's hit the
Yep.
like we have this laundry list, I'm sure of the easiest example is doors you've only knocked once or even attempted once.
Yeah.
How many of those are there in neighborhoods that you maybe had a few customers, but
Yep.
you scanned the area once and you have how many no homes,
Yeah.
how many go backs that you never actually went back, right? Like
Indeed.
stuff like
Indeed.
that. Yeah.
I always talked about it. I especially have to do it in the roofing industry because they're here today, gone tomorrow, chasing storms. And there's an aspect around it where they're waiting for another storm or to find damage because that's what they're trying to knock on. And so they're quick to jump areas. And I've just had to really understand the value in staying put. And I think it's the same thing with solar is that these bigger deals, bigger sales are so important that there's trust built and there's understanding of that you're going to take care of them. Or even like if you do that initial door knock and they're like, nah, I'm busy or I'm doing this thing, rather than trying to win every battle, the focus is winning the war. So it's like I'll lose the battle and I'll be like, hey, I can tell it's a bad time. Like I'll be the first one to admit it. They come to the door all chaotic or disgruntled face or something like that. My idea is the grass is greenest where you water it, and I'm going to be back here. I own my areas. I'm really great at making sure to go back to them and keep on planting those seeds. And so I'll lose the battle with a homeowner at the time to be able to say, hey, look, let me grab your name. I'll just be like, hey, bad timing. I can tell. Well, my name's Jonah. I'll be in the area. Throw a rock if you need me. I'm working with a bunch of your neighbors. What was your name? And I'll make sure to get their name, try to do a little chit chat. And then now I have a warm lead when I go back. And I just specifically mark those houses that I'm like, dude, this is prime for solar. This is a great roof. Like they seem like they're my ideal clientele. And I'll just make sure to mark it on my tracking apps or whatever I'm using for field management. So that way I can go back and continue to water the grass to make sure it's greenest and leverage all the names that I can drop. And yeah, just be more effective with my data and understanding how to win the war rather than every single battle. Because if you try to just throw down on just right there on the first door and push someone into doing it, you could ruin a customer later on or possibly ruin the area by getting on a bad Facebook post, or that stuff can kind of snowball.
You don't want to be mentioned on Nextdoor. That's not a good look. You don't want to be the
Now, Jordan, I think a question that a lot of us might have for you right now, me personally, what tracking app is one of your favorites to lean on for this kind of
Yeah, no, honestly, there's quite a few. They do similar things. I think I like the robustness of RepCard a little bit more because I'm also leveraging it for recruiting, to track recruits. And I think that's a unique dynamic that most of the apps don't have. And so I leverage that to be able to track, hey, I'm not just handing out my rep card, which could be set up to send information to a customer and have a landing page for a client that's looking to buy solar. But then I can also have it for a recruit to where they scan it and I'm showing them like my work history, a different landing page or a different resource and texting thread than what I would have for a homeowner. And I think that's a unique aspect that I personally really utilize and see a lot of value in for my reps. But I love Sales Rabbit as well. Big advocate of them. They sponsored my conferences and things that have really helped me out, and they're the pioneers of it as well. But there's quite a few good ones out there. But I like that side dynamic of RepCard where I can leverage it for recruiting as well and messaging people. I think that's a special opportunity.
Yeah, I was going to say we have tried RepCard ourselves for that specific reason for recruiting. But yeah, if you upgrade to that door knocking and you get best of both worlds there. We do have a whole list of like recommended vendors, RepCard's on there. So yeah, definitely ditto to that.
Yeah. And if I was to talk about how to use,
sponsored by RepCard, but
it is not sponsored. I'm not sponsored. I know Brad. He's a good buddy. He's actually there when we started SolarCon. There was a crew of us. It was actually at a roofing event, RoofCon. And I talked to people about it after being in the event space for a while. And I was like, why is there not a solar conference? Obviously RE Plus, and that's coming up here in a couple of weeks, but it's such more about like manufacturing and political and technology focus, not really sales or company scaling.
RE Plus is such an amazing show just because it shows you just how massive the solar industry is, and residential is obviously a big part of it, but like it blows my mind every time I walk in. Like you're just like,
and there's so much other energy talk, all the other different parts and pieces of renewables that are there. It's just it's eye-opening for sure. If you you have a rookie rep or you have a rep, I remember always trying to take reps to events like that were like my top reps that were like the careerists that came from other industries, not sales industries, but like people that were like, hey, like I run a successful insurance agency, or I'm a doctor, or I'm a like some kind of like higher end thing. It's like, let me show you what this industry is about. Those are the eye-opening opportunities that could really shine some light on there. But Brad was there when we came up with SolarCon at the roofing event, and there's multiple roofing events a year. And I'm like, why isn't there more solar events? So we decided to throw SolarCon out there. And so Brad was one of the people that helped the brainchild of that develop while I was thinking out loud at that event. But going back to the door knocking, because this is something that I'm passionate about, is, hey, we're only in one area and then we leave and just spot knock and whatnot and don't water the grass. The idea for me is a lot of people are like, oh, well, you got to go back to that door multiple times and, before it'll sell. And my thing is like, I go back to that door multiple times in a day. I like to set myself up for like a route where I can like circle around, hit it during the early hours. I can check it out during prime time. And if it has any cars or signs of life that have changed, I'll hit it. And if not, I'll wait till late hours after 7 or 8 o'clock, run my way out of the area if it's a prime house, and then try to get it again. And I feel like that's been a helpful dynamic, especially in saturated markets like California, where that one homeowner can be the difference. Like it's like that one person that hasn't talked to people because they work really late or they have intense hours or they're a busy person. It's like that extra little like data collection and being like methodical about how you're going through that really can make a difference. And so I love to be able to be almost like creepy when it comes to the notes that I take in the areas that I'm working. It can be a little disturbing, I bet, if someone didn't
Creepy on
know
the
why
notes.
I was doing that. Yeah,
Charming on the doors, creepy on the notes. That's fine.
exactly,
As long as you
exactly.
don't, yeah, blend it the
That's
other.
exactly what I need. Don't look at the notes, but I'm like, yeah, I know exactly when people are here and when they're gone and what cars they drive.
Yep.
But it's just, I'm committed to that craft. And I do think that there's still low hanging fruits in every single market, even in the saturated ones, to where if you can find these people at the times when no one else will find them, you're going to have the success that nobody else has. And it's really special.
That's true. One thing that it made me think of too, and I'll just toss this out here. We do have something that a lot of roofers don't, which is we can get you a pretty darn close estimate on the cost in
Mm-hmm.
minutes.
Yeah.
And a lot of these roofing companies are like, "Oh yeah, great. Let's get you a quote. Send it to their team
Yeah.
wherever. You're lucky if you hear from them in a week, right?"
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Or they give you like a preliminary one and it's like you know what I mean? It's like, well, I'm trying to pull a loan. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
I'm trying to
yeah,
figure out financing and do certain, like I need like I don't want to have to go back and re-sign, or I want something that's fairly accurate and somebody that knows what's at stake here. And a lot of
Yeah.
those roofing companies just don't get it because they're like, yeah, well,
yeah.
I sell roofs over a 2 week period after four
Right.
appointments. And it's like, no, I'm doing this today, like same day
Yeah.
or die. And I need stuff instantly and I want it to be accurate. And so it's really powerful to have good partners for that.
Yeah, I've sold a few roof only jobs personally, and what it came down to was a lot of roofers do not even offer financing options. It's
That
like,
Yeah.
that was the other part of it.
I need
Yeah.
money up front. And it's like, no,
Yeah.
no, no, I got this lending option, nothing out of pocket. Be the hero. It's
Yeah.
great.
And
Yeah.
by the way, did you know that if you bundle it with solar, well, basically you're still going to
Yeah,
save money and you get a roof out of
Yep.
it? Like,
yeah,
is that
buddy.
great? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It's powerful.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, plug again for check out our roof only trainings. Everybody who's an ESP dealer has access to it. So hit up your account executive, hit up the training sessions that are on YouTube and in ESP University. Get out there.
If are you guys, do you guys have, I haven't seen the training, sorry, I should probably know more about it, but on the
Yeah, you
roofing side, do you guys have stuff in there about like pitching? Because I just know that, and I'm not trying to like come up with a coping crutch or whatever, but sometimes it's nice to pitch a roof first and then solar, because solar is such a trigger word in these saturated markets that
that's
sometimes it can
very
just
true.
be like, hey, look, I'm going to pitch a roof and I'm going to just end up talking about solar because it's up on a roof, but you want to be able to door pitch for roofing. Do you guys have
That's
roofing door
huge.
pitches in there? I'm not sure if you guys have
Um,
like how to approach a door
We
specifically
do
for a roof sale.
actually.
a little
Okay.
bit, yeah.
The
Yep.
beauty
Great.
here is that we provide a link that goes to the Owens Corning University. And
Hmm.
inside of there is where you can get all of your unique approaches. And you're
Nice. Probably
right.
stuff from like Rodney Webb or something. I know they
It,
have some
Oh yeah,
in-house trainers.
is that the
yeah,
guy? I think that's his name. Yeah. Yeah, there's good stuff for sure. But yeah, that's a huge part of it too. Like we've had people, some of our other partners, some of our other dealers have said that they have heard so many times on the doors, like, "Oh, thank God you're not another one of those solar guys." Good
Yeah.
Lord, we've gotten so many of them. You're here for a roof?
Yeah.
Oh, come on in. Let's
Yeah.
talk about it. So
And
definitely
that's
use that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I can even spit a couple of nasty pitches for roofing, I will say, because when it comes to California is different. I know a lot of people are in Cali on this call, but California is a little bit different of a roofing market because when I go to Oklahoma, like I was this week, or Chicago, Midwest, Florida, Texas, when you knock on a door for a roof, it is more of like it's a sensitive word like solar is in California, where it's like, hey, I've had someone on my talk to me about
Right.
roofs because of the storms,
The storm
but in
chasers. Yep.
California, it's less likely. And so you can use some pretty simple approaches and very assumptive like breakdowns in order to get people interested. So one of my favorite things to do is just simply saying like, hey, look, I'm the same authoritative, like, hey, look, I'm in the neighborhood. I'm in charge of just getting you guys the reports to see if your guys' roof is in good condition, because most of these roofs are over 15 years old. So we just do the inspection really quick and let you guys know if you're in good standing. We look for XYZ. I know I'm specialized at looking at roofs, or I've taken trainings on what to look for as far as damage, wear and
That's
tear,
a
if there's stuff that's like problematic on the roof. And it's really simple stuff, really just things that stick out to you. But it's a great pitch to be able to share, like, hey, look, well, we're just in charge of doing the inspections to see if you guys can qualify for insurance damage, or if you guys can, if you guys need to have any concerns about your roof. But I just do a quick inspection to see where you guys are at. We'll walk around the property, and then I'll let you know if your roof's in good standing, and set that up a precedence where it's like, look, your roof doesn't look like it's in great condition. If you want an inspection on it, I have a couple things I look for, and people can look this up, or there's some simple training videos on what to look for as far as roof damage. But a lot of times people just don't want to get up on their roof, or even if you guys have a drone or something, you can see it from the
Oh,
ground as well. But
yeah.
to be able to like do something like that, dude, those are nasty pitches too. If you want to break someone's pattern, have one of those DJI drones, like those mini ones. It's like $250. It's
yeah,
totally worth the investment. Give those to a couple of your reps knocking doors, and they have these chests. So what I get is these chest straps for the drones. And so
Yeah.
you can just like have the whole thing open, like on your chest. You come to the door with a vest on. Everyone's thinking you're like the authority there. And you're just like,
yeah.
hey, cool. Yep. We're just doing the roof inspections. I'll just throw the drone up. I'll let you know if I see anything that's out of place, and come back and let you know. And then you can be like, hey, you don't have too much shading on your roof, and it's in a good spot. You guys see your solar quote yet? When you guys get a breakdown of what your home could be capable of. So it's a great way to take an angle at, let's improve your home, and roofing is a part of it. Solar's a part of it. HVAC, insulation, like just energy saving. If you guys have
Yeah.
partners on that kind of stuff, it's a really powerful angle just to show up and say, hey, I'm just here to serve and give an inspection and let you know what I think.
Yeah, well, and I think it's interesting too, just like anecdotally even. I don't think people really once you've been at a house for a while, you're not necessarily going to be like looking at it all the time of like, if you're a new homeowner, yeah, you're going to be noticing all kinds of random stuff. But like, I've lived
Mm-hmm.
in my house for almost 10 years now, and like, if somebody came to the door and was like, "Hey, did you notice that there's like a shingle out of place?" I'd be like, I have a roof? What? I haven't looked at that. And what are you talking about? So if
Exactly.
you're training yourself, like you said, to know what to
Yep.
look for, just a couple of the warning signs and things like that, people will appreciate you having that eye for it because they may have
Yep.
just been blind to it by being that's just how it's been forever. But yeah,
Totally. And if you can just use like a bandwagon name drop approach around that, and just being like, yeah, we just talked to Susie. We went up on their roof, or they're the ones of the solar system. So maybe you did a solar install in the area or whatever. And just be like, yep, we've been up on a couple of the roofs here with these neighbors. We're doing inspections to see if your guys' roof is in good standing in order to qualify for our program. We just fly the drone up, or we just check it out, do a little walk around, let you know what condition your roof is standing in. And then we have options to solve any problems you have there. Do you guys have any leaking? Just asking general questions about it. And then you can roll in, obviously, the solar pitch as well, sharing that while you're up there, it looks like you guys have a great opportunity to also save money in your energy bill.
I'll
So,
plug
yeah, it's powerful.
speaking of name dropping, I'll plug our little tool here that I just finished updating this morning with our all California installs to date. Let me pull this up
Oh,
here.
really? Nice.
Yes, sir.
So that
Yeah,
way you can go around and name drop anywhere, huh?
Oh man, is this good?
absolutely. I think it's key. I can't tell you how many Spectrum guys have showed up at my door saying, "Oh, we just did this, that." And what they don't know is I'm the ambassador of our street. So I know every single neighbor. And I'm like, "Oh, what was his name?" And he totally wrong. And I'm like, "Get out of here." Right. But if you have something
Yeah.
authentic like this to pinpoint,
Yep.
raise the
There
bar on
we
Yeah.
go.
core and trust.
Yeah. Yeah. It's quality.
Absolutely.
Look at that.
There we go. Look at this.
It's a couple.
Just a few. Just a
Yeah.
handful.
And
Yeah.
nothing to
Yeah.
nothing
Oh
to
my God.
shy
See,
away from
see
there.
the one downside to this is that it almost is too many. It
It's
is
like frozen. It's
it's
like
right below the cap that Google Earth can actually handle, so it starts chugging. But yeah,
that's
definitely use this to
amazing.
your advantage. So wherever you're at, pull this up. We'll link this in our knowledge base just so everybody's got it. And yeah, it's got date it was
Don't try to
installed,
open it
system
with
size.
your iPhone,
Yeah,
guys.
make sure you're on Wi-Fi when you first load it. Don't don't use your
That's awesome. What's the data it pulls? Is it just name and like install date, or
the address, system size, install date. So I kept it somewhat anonymous, but that way you can go and be like, oh yeah, we just did somebody over on like whatever,
yeah, this
Bainbridge
street.
Avenue, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, this street. Do
It
you
was
know
a
them?
15 panel system.
Yep,
Yeah, that makes
exactly,
sense.
exactly. So
Yeah. No, that's really powerful. Yeah. Yeah, being able to reference like, hey, look, we do a lot of stuff in this area. Like that authoritative approach, again, it's just being like, yep, we're in charge of checking out the houses. We're in charge of getting you these reports back. We worked with a bunch of your neighbors. I'll take this drone. I'll shoot this up here real quick, or I'll hurry and walk around and check out some stuff, and I'll let you know if you can qualify like the neighbors did. And just assumptive, go rock it.
Perfect.
Love it.
Are you guys, I guess when it comes to like prospecting apps, do you guys have like, do you guys use Project Sunroof, or do you guys have an app that shows like sun rating?
We don't currently, other than Aurora's what we use once the
Oh yeah.
project actually comes into our system, but that's the most accurate one that we've found, obviously. But yeah,
Yeah.
Sunroof does a decent job. There's an open API for Sunroof now that I tried to figure out how we can integrate it with it, and I did some testing, and it is way off. It's
Is it?
so like, yeah,
I've just used it as a door knocking tool to be able to show people a
yes.
picture of their roof while I'm going through and just being like, look, there's some sun data here.
There's
You know, we'll
some
do an
access.
inspection.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. They just mainly want the heat map to be able to see your own
exactly.
roof with a heat
Exactly.
map on top of it. They're, oh, that's interesting.
Look for the hotspots. Do not take it as gospel, because I like
Mm-hmm.
at best it's 10% off, but you don't know if it's 10% or like I've had some that were like,
Oh yeah,
who knows where it's pulling the roof square footage from. But yeah, so
exactly.
definitely use it as just that little like, oh hey, have you ever seen something like this? Because probably a lot of people haven't.
Yeah,
Maybe they have, maybe not. But yeah.
yeah. The other app that I will plug is Sunseeker. I don't know if you guys have ever used that. Have you heard of that one? It's actually really not like a solar app in particular. I think it's
Yeah.
more of just like a sun mapping app. I think you pay like $4 or something like that for it, but I think it's worth it because it just gives another perspective of another way to show people something. So
Hmm.
I often like, let's see, I think I have it pulled up here, but you can just show obviously your address, and what it does show is like the sun hours that go through
Hmm.
the area. And then what you can do is you can use actually a like a camera version of it to where you can look through directly at the time, and then you can show someone like where their map would be or where the sun would like
Where the
pop out
sun's
for
gonna
shading.
path. Yeah.
Uh-huh,
Okay.
uh-huh. And it
Nice.
has that map. And so when people have like
That is
shading
pretty
going
cool.
on their roof, I can just like show, hey, look, the sun's gonna come across here and down there. And it's just more things to keep the homeowner active because
Boggle their
most people
mind with
aren't using
technology, man.
yeah, just being like, look, we have some of this data. Let me show
Yeah.
you some of this stuff while you're
Yep.
here. And sometimes that'll just be the difference that you need in order to get the few extra seconds in order to close it down.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's just what the other rep didn't have.
Some people geek out on that stuff too. Like anytime you can show them a cool augmented thing, like, hey, yeah, look, you may have had people come by and be like, yeah, we'll just put solar panels all over your roof, but I'm going to tell you not here because check out this tree and watch this. And so that's going to give you that authority that, yeah, like you said, the other rep didn't have. So
Yep.
love that.
Indeed. Indeed. Yeah, no, I think it's a powerful, like all these tools to be able to have a knowledge of roofing and being able to speak that language. It's just being able to have multiple angles, especially with educated markets,
Yeah.
right? Like there's
Yep.
people that just, it's solar's a trigger word, or there's aspects around it that you want to be careful on how you bring it up because they're just going to put you in the same box that they have for other people previously. And if you can show them that you have a different angle, approach, or education take on it, then you're more likely to be able to get more time with them. And the more time that you can spend with somebody and build that trust, more likely you'll be able to ask for a report or a sit down later on or some kind of angle that you can win some business.
For sure.
You're right. And Jonah, for those that have done home improvement loans, we all know that the max term is like around 15 years. That's the average. And that's extending as far as you can. Unlike solar
Yep.
that you can get 25 years on average,
Yep.
right?
Totally.
So when you're doing that roofing quote, that monthly payment might equal $300 because it's 15 years. But if you extend
Yeah.
it to 25, that same $300 gets you maybe 12 panels, a battery, and a re-roof, and
Yep.
you make more money. So focus
Yeah.
on the rapport so you can segue that conversation.
Exactly. Exactly. And yeah, and then you can speak to the warranties of it. And it's like, hey, we can knock out two birds with one stone and give you
Right?
double peace of mind. And just being like like I always use the Brian Tracy, like the instant reverse, or just being like, hey, this is one of my favorite parts of our program. And my customers that have done this are my happiest customers. It's like when you guys can get all this knocked out at the same time, these are my favorite clients, and they're the ones that give us all the reviews and referrals because they're so stoked with it. And if you can qualify like they did, I'm sure you're gonna be shouting our praises
For
from the
sure.
rooftops. Let me get you
And
this report and see what we can do.
the data shows they're stickier sales.
They are.
When you're bundling at least a couple, maybe even a handful of other things in there for all for one low price,
Mhm.
that's gonna keep that in motion as the project goes,
Indeed.
rather than somebody who's just like, yeah, I can get solar from anybody, literally. But if you're
Yeah.
coming to them with, hey, I've got this special package deal just for you,
Mhm.
customized just for you, yeah, definitely do it that
I
way.
that takes me to a point that I always bring up with most of my consulting is when we're setting appointments or doing different things, a lot of the times people are worried about homeowners seeing it through to the end, or they just maybe they agree to do like some little quote thing when they're sold on the quote, but they're not interested in seeing anything further. I always talk to people about being able to really set the right expectations of being like, hey, look, we're not knocking to give a quote. We're knocking to put a deal on this house. And like that commitment to saying, hey, I'm not going to cross my fingers and just being like, okay, I'm happy with just a proposal or just a report or happy to just talk to somebody about what the options are. It's like, no, we got to focus on how we can get this thing all the way through to the end and being able to come up with multiple dynamics that get them to share more data. Like it's like with products that you purchase, there's trends within retail sales that show that the more upfront people pay for a product, the more likely they are to see it through to the end. So there's an
True.
aspect of it to where it's like that down payment side of things. Like when I was back doing alarm sales back in the day, it was like when you could get an activation fee for 99 bucks, the cancellation rate on those ones or the 3 day cancellation or whatever, it was actually lower because people committed up front. And so the way I see this with our stuff, usually we're not charging for an inspection or an appointment or whatever to do a proposal. But the way that they invest or put a down payment is their time and energy. And so if you're asking them questions about their roof or doing an extra inspection or flying a drone or being able to talk about bundling, or you're doing something that's more than just like, hey, let me be the guy that gets you another quote. Like, come on,
Yeah,
like, let me
yeah.
show you. But you're like,
Race to
hey,
the
let me
bottom, like,
exactly.
no,
When you can
why?
be like,
Yeah,
let me ask you questions, like show them that
yeah,
they're investing time and energy up front, the more likely they are to see that process through to the end because they have invested. So it's almost like
yeah.
a down payment of information and commitment to you. And so the more that we can do that and have multiple angles, obviously speaking to batteries or things that are relevant in our market, but also roofing, being able to be like a property expert or be able to name drop and all that kind of stuff and gather information from them, the more likely they are to see us through to the end.
Yeah, I love that. That's such like core. What is it? Right, I got the book right over my shelf. The Influence, Science, and Practice by Robert Cialdini. That's classic literature, right? And one of
Yeah.
those things is build those micro commitments. People will make those that once they've decided to make a decision, they will have so many reasons that support it that even if one of the reasons goes away, they'll still, okay, I'll still see it through because I've already built this up in my mind. But
Yeah.
also, like you just said, like talking to all these other angles of it or these other related products with authority, that is
Mm-hmm.
yet another, that's like two in one. Like you're speaking with authority, people will respect that and your knowledge. And you're also giving them information for free. And they're like, oh my gosh, that guy was so helpful. And he
Yeah.
respected my time. He wasn't just some jerk who was like, no, let me get sign here, sign here. Yeah, that's huge for people. Like that's such a
Yeah.
massive, yeah, triple threat.
Yeah.
So
Yep. And it goes back to that. Hey, I'm happy to lose the battle, but I'm going to win the war. It's like the aspect of being like,
yeah,
I can be committed to something that's not directly like I need to push you to do what I'm intentionally like the main focus of what I'm doing right now. I can be less attached to that having a specific outcome and understand that there's an opportunity here for you to be a client of ours in different capacities. And I'm not here to twist your arm into it. I'm here to be a solution and to talk through what that looks like to be the best. So, and I know that's something that Danny and I are wanting to train on, or we're wanting to put together like a little boot camp for in September, sometime around RE plus. And so
yeah,
I know the people that want to get more information on that, we're going to be sending out an email for
yeah,
registering for that, and we'll be hitting on some of these basics, yeah, for how
yeah.
to get most effective on those kind of things.
Perfect segue. I think we're running up on time here, and I don't want to keep you.
Yeah,
You're a busy man, but yeah,
no problem.
appreciate your time. This is all awesome stuff. I'm sure everybody appreciates the wisdom that we've dropped here, and yeah, let absolutely gonna plug that you can book time with Jonah Oh, there you go. Yeah. He's got our little door hangers. You can get access to these door hangers just by printing them off yourself, basically. We've got all those graphics and everything. Yeah, talk to me about co-branding if you want to do anything like that, custom campaigns. But back to Jonah, you can book a time with Jonah to upgrade your organization and learn all of this stuff and more, way in depth, personalized for your organization. So again, we are
Yep.
super grateful, super thankful to be partners with you guys. Absolutely mad respect. And yeah, we'll get more information out about, yeah, those contests that are coming up, the boot camps, the next community calls, all that good stuff. We'll get it
Totally.
out to the people.
Absolutely. Main thing is just people got to share, got to ask the questions. I'm happy to hop on when we do these discovery calls for the platforms and just getting people onboarded. I'm happy to spend a good 20, 30 minutes just going over main questions and resources. And if I don't have the answers or Danny doesn't have it, we got people that probably have it. So we want
Beautiful.
to make sure that you guys are successful because we believe in this industry and we believe in what we're doing. So happy to help.
100%.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, everybody have a killer Friday, killer weekend. Happy selling. Thanks
Yep.
again, Jonah. We'll talk
Absolutely.
soon.
See you guys.
Thanks,
See ya.
everybody.